come on. Do you know the new rules on I-95? Because right now, cameras are already mailing fines to drivers who still think a work zone speed limit is optional. In Delaware, one camera caught 10,000 vehicles in 3 days, including one driver at 139 miles per hour. And that was just the first trap. Hold your phone at a red light in Pennsylvania, and that stop could cost you over $100. Here is what changed. These are not proposals. They are live right now, spread across 15 states along the busiest highway on the East Coast. The real shock is not just the fines. It is that the system now watches in ways most drivers never notice. So the question is simple. When you pass these zones, will you know what triggers a ticket? The first change is already catching more drivers than anyone expected. In Delaware, the trap sits on a stretch of northbound I-95 through the Churchman's Marsh work zone near Wilmington. For 3 weeks, the state only warned drivers. Then, on May 23rd, the warnings stopped. Now, any registered owner caught driving 11 miles per hour or more over the 55-mile per hour limit gets a civil citation in the mail. The math is sneaky. The base fine is $20, plus $1 for every mile per hour over the limit. Going 66 in a 55. Sounds like 11 over, but after state fees, that ticket is over $100. And this camera is not just catching street racers. In the first 3 days of enforcement, it logged 10,000 qualifying vehicles. 39 of them were going over 100 miles per hour. The fastest hit, 139. That means ordinary commuters and families are triggering this system, not just reckless drivers. Delaware officials say their goal is not revenue. A similar camera near Route 896 has issued 400,000 violations and reduced average speeds by about 10%. So the system works, and it is spreading. But the reason this matters for everyone is bigger. I-95 runs about 1,925 miles from Miami to the Canadian border in Maine, passing through 15 states and Washington, D.C. It averages close to 284 deaths every year. That is why leaders are now turning it into a corridor for automated enforcement. Delaware is only the first warning. The next rule does not care how fast you are driving. It cares what is in your hand, even when your car is not moving. Pennsylvania just flipped a switch that turns millions of drivers into potential offenders. It is called Paul Miller's Law, named for a 21-year-old from Scranton who was killed in 2010 when a truck driver reached for his phone and drifted head-on into him. For 1 year, police only issued warnings. That grace period ended on June 5th, and now the law is fully live. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. The ban is not just about texting while moving. Holding a handheld device while driving is now a primary offense, and the law defines driving to include sitting at a red light or stuck in stopped traffic. So, if you grab your phone to change a song while waiting at an intersection, that is a violation. The base fine is $50, but after mandatory fees and court costs, the real cost usually lands between $125 and $200. And because it is a primary offense, an officer can pull you over just for seeing the phone in your hand. No other reason needed. The reason Pennsylvania moved this hard is in the data. In 2024 alone, the state logged 9,950 crashes involving distracted drivers. Those crashes injured more than 6,000 people and killed 49 others. Paul Miller's family spent over a decade pushing for this law because they understood something most drivers ignore. A split-second reach for a phone can end someone else's life, and now the state is using your wallet to change that habit. But the real shock is not the phone law. It is what is happening on the shoulder of the road. Because another set of rules is expanding fast, and it turns every disabled car into a potential ticket for you. California changed its move over law on January 1st. It used to apply only to emergency vehicles, tow trucks, and maintenance crews with flashing lights. Now it covers any stopped vehicle displaying hazard lights, flares, or warning triangles. That means a family changing a flat tire on the side of I-95 is now legally protected, and you must slow down or change lanes when you pass them. Florida made a similar change, and New Jersey has a bill pending. Ohio and Wisconsin are pushing proposals too. The fines are not small. Many states require drivers to slow about 20 miles per hour below the posted limit when passing a stopped vehicle. A first offense can cost between $150 and $500, and if you cause a crash, you could lose your license. But most people still do not comply. A AAA study captured roadside video and found that 36% of drivers did not slow down or change lanes at all. They broke the law completely. Meanwhile, roadside deaths have climbed 77% from 2014 to 2023. That is why states are adding cameras and patrols to catch move-over violations. But here is the pivot. Every rule so far depends on a police officer or a single camera catching you in one moment. The next wave of enforcement does not need to catch you at all. It already knows where you were, how fast you averaged between 2 points, and whether your insurance card is actually valid. And that changes the entire game. Here is the part most drivers never see. Average speed enforcement is being tested along I-95, and it operates completely differently from the cameras you know. Instead of catching you at one fixed point, the system uses 2 cameras placed miles apart. The first camera logs your plate and the exact moment you pass. The second camera does the same. Then the machine compares the 2 timestamps. If your average speed over that distance is even 1 mile per hour over the limit, a citation is generated. You can slam on the brakes before each camera and still walk away with a ticket, because the computer is not measuring how fast you were at either camera. It is measuring how fast you traveled between them. To make it concrete, imagine driving from Baltimore toward Wilmington. You pass the first scanner at mile 62 at 2:05 in the afternoon. You pass the second at mile 91 at 2:31. That is 29 miles in 26 minutes. The system calculates your average speed. If it is above the posted limit, you are automatically fined. No traffic stop, no warning lights. Just a letter in your mailbox 2 weeks later. But that is only half of the machine. The second tool is quieter and more invasive. Real-time insurance verification is now showing up on patrol cars and highway readers. When an officer scans your plate, the computer immediately checks whether your coverage is active, not whether you have an old insurance card in the glove box, but whether the policy is valid in the insurance company's current database. If you forgot to renew or the automatic payment failed, the system flags your car instantly. In some places, that can trigger a stop, a fine, and even a registration hold. And the worst part, many drivers never know their policy lapsed until the plate reader tells them. Now combine those two. You are driving 12 hours from Miami to Maine. In Georgia, an average speed zone logs your route. In North Carolina, an insurance scanner tags your plate as unverified because your renewal is processing. In Virginia, a move-over camera catches you failing to shift lanes for a disabled car. Each system operates separately, but together they can turn one family vacation into hundreds of dollars in fines. And the system does not care that you have been driving for 40 years. It does not care that you were confused by the changed law. It cares that the data says you crossed a line. And here is the deeper reveal. Every one of these programs started as a limited pilot. Delaware launched one camera in one work zone. Pennsylvania passed one law after one death. California expanded one statute. But once the infrastructure is installed, the rules spread fast. Other states watch the revenue, the compliance rates, and the crash numbers. Then they adopt the same tools. That is why this is not just a Delaware story or a Pennsylvania story. This is an entire corridor being rewired for automated enforcement. And the next phase is already in motion. So, before you get behind the wheel again, there are 3 specific things you need to know. The first is where these systems are most likely to catch you first. The second is what to do if a ticket shows up. And the third is the simple move that protects you before any camera ever sees your plate. But it starts with the one place most drivers never check. The first place to check is your state's Department of Transportation website. Not a national site, not a headline. Go directly to the state.to map before you leave, Because most of these camera zones and hands-free rules are posted weeks before enforcement begins. Delaware published its warning dates. Pennsylvania announced the end of its phone grace period. If you ignore those local updates, you are driving blind. But here is what most people miss. The rules on I-95 are not identical. One state may require you to slow 20 miles per hash hour below the limit for a stopped car. Another may require a full lane change. In Florida, the move over expansion made any vehicle with hazard lights a protected zone. In California, that protection started January 1st. If you cross from one state into another and assume the same law applies, that assumption can become a fine. So the simplest move is a pre-trip reset. Before a long drive, check 3 things. First, confirm your insurance date is active, not just that you have a card. Second, activate driving mode on your phone. Third, look at the route dot pages for any new camera zones or work zone changes. That takes 10 minutes and can prevent hundreds of dollars in civil penalties. Now, what if a ticket already arrived? Do not ignore it. In Delaware, these speed camera citations are civil, which means no license points, but the fine still comes due. In many places, unpaid automated tickets can move to collections or create a hold on your registration. You can often verify the date, speed, and location online. If the photo does not match your car or you are not the driver, check the state rules for transfer or challenge. But the deadline matters. Waiting usually makes it worse. The money side is just as serious. From April 2022 through March 2025, Delaware alone issued 126,268 automated tickets and collected $9.8 million. Even if each driver feels only a small sting, the total adds up fast. One work zone camera becomes a corridor-wide strategy. That is why this is not a one-off story. And here is the final surprising detail. The camera system in Delaware that caught 10,000 vehicles in 3 days was not a secret. It was announced. The state ran public notices, posted warning signs, and gave drivers 3 full weeks to adjust. Yet 10,000 vehicles still tripped it in the first 3 days of enforcement. One driver hit 139 miles per hour in a work zone where workers were present. That tells you something important. The system is not designed to hide. It is designed to wait for the moment people forget. That is the real lesson from I-95. The new rules are not just about punishing bad drivers. They are about automating consequences for ordinary habits. And the corridor is expanding that experiment across 15 states and Washington, D.C. So, before your next drive, the only protection that works is the one you carry into the car with you. And that is where the next decision begins. That decision is not about becoming a perfect driver. It is about accepting that the road has changed while most of us were not paying attention. The machines are not hidden. The signs are up. The warnings were given. What is new is that consequences now arrive by mail, not always by a police officer on the shoulder. So the real question is not whether you agree with the cameras. It is whether you will update your habits before one of those envelopes finds you. If this video helped you see what is now active along I-95, hit the like button so more drivers get the warning, and subscribe for more breakdowns on the rules that quietly change how we live. Because the next change is already being tested somewhere along that same corridor. And if you are not watching, you will hear about it too late. Drive safe, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one.